My next guest is a member of Toronto City Council. She voted in favour of the tolls. Anna Bailau joins me with her reaction to the Premier's decision. Councillor Bailau, what do you say to the Premier?
Well, I think that it's important to thank them that they recognize that municipalities across Ontario needed more funds, that we are better off today with $170 million by 2022 that we were yesterday for transit and transit infrastructure, that this government has done a significant investment in transit capital, but it is concerning that even though City Councillor voted very strongly in support of a plan that actually took responsibility of its own finances, that a plan that we were asked to take in consideration. We had been asked to look at these revenue tools, to start being a mature order of government, to start costing some of these very expensive things that we have to build in our city. And when we do that, when we take the time to go through the list, to have conversations with our citizens, to put our voting record on the record, basically, that we are denied something that was even contemplated on the Toronto City Act. So that is disturbing, because we do have $33 billion of unfunded infrastructure projects in the City of Toronto.
Why isn't $170 million? I'm going to take what you said step by step. First of all, the money, you'll get $170 million of stable, guaranteed funding every year. Why isn't that enough?
So it will start in 2019, and by 2022 it will be 170. The reason why it isn't enough is because we have $33 billion of unfunded projects. We have an issue that is transit and transportation. We have an issue in housing that for many, many years we've been asking the province to come and help us deal with this issue and help us fund. We've been doing it ourselves. We have issues in other parts of the infrastructure projects that we need to fund, waterfront, water flood protection, and so on. And what we have been told up to now is that the city needed to look at other revenue tools and to start to fund these things themselves. And we had the tough conversation. We agreed that these projects are not and cannot be totally costed out by property taxes increases, that we need a diverse tools, a set of tools to fund these projects. When you look at other cities in North America that we compete with, New York or Chicago or so on, there's a set of tools that they fund a lot of these projects, and that's what we need.
Okay, so does that mean that property taxes will go up to augment the $170 million in the City of Toronto?
Well, it means that now we need to understand exactly what we're going to be able and not able to do.
So
we know that if we couldn't have this fiscal plan, it could mean, when we had this discussion at council, the numbers that our staff gave us is that if we didn't do something like this, it could translate in a 10% property tax increase. Wow. And I don't think anybody thinks that that is the way to go to put a 10% tax increase.
But it could.
Well, I mean, I definitely don't want to see our city struggling with more congestion and lack of transit. I want to make sure that housing gets fixed, and we need solutions.
But it seems to me like you're
needs to be at the table.
It seems to me like you're trying to say it without saying it.
Yeah. I mean, everything needs to be at the table now.
Okay, so it's
absolutely
possible. It's possible there could be a 10% tax increase in the City of Toronto.
Well, if the only tool we're left on the table is property tax increase, that's the only tool we have to use.
Kathleen Wynne says it would not be proper to have extra tolls without the transit options available on the table for people to be able to use. That it wouldn't work. What do you say to her?
I say that we said exactly the same thing, and that's why the tolls were going to come in 2019, at a time where, for example, the automatic signal on the Yonge line is going to be implemented, which is going to increase capacity on that line, where we're going to be very close to opening the Eglinton Crosstown, and on our way to do the RER and Smart Track. But we need that money to also do those projects. So which one is it? I mean, a lot of the money that we even get on transportation, some of it we need to cost share. So, you know, it's a three-way share. And then there's all the operating costs as well. We have our TTC that needs to be upgraded, which is not the flashy projects that everybody loves to cut their ribbons, but it is things that are much, much needed to maintain the level of service, to maintain our trains, our buses running effectively in the city. Money that needs to be invested that used to be paid by the government of Ontario. Let's not forget that housing, 50% of the operating cost of TTC, even the gardener. These were all things that used to be owned, managed, and paid for by the province of Ontario.
Okay, so you're saying the 170 million, the city's saying 170 million a year isn't enough, that the argument, as I understand it, the argument of the transit, that you need to have the transit infrastructure in place, you'd say it would have been in place with the money that you were able to earn from the tolls, that you were on schedule to do that. So why do you think Premier Wynne made the decision that she did to reject this plan?
Well, I'm sure that she weighted all her advice and the comments that she did, and I just think that at the end of the day, the residents and the Order of Government of Toronto was asked to weigh in on the revenue tools. We are asked to do our work and put our voting record out there on what revenue tools we'd be able to have. We have a City of Toronto Act. There's an act that was contemplated so we could have these powers that clearly identified the different needs of a city like Toronto. And now we're being denied the opportunity to actually do what we were asked to do. So which way is it? What do we do?
Do you think you might take the Premier to court or ask for some sort of legal opinion on whether the Premier has the right to do this?
I think we're now evaluating what we can do. I think that I know that the Mayor is having a conversation with the Premier next week. I think we need to clarify where do we go from here. As the Mayor has said even today at the press conference that he had signs and clear indication that this would be a possibility, that other taxes that were part of the City of Toronto Act, things like the liquor sales tax, was automatically taken out of the table. And when we voted for a possibility of a percentage of the sales tax, and right the day after we voted on that, the provincial government also came right away and said no way. So we need to understand, where do we go from here? Are those tools all? Every time we go and ask for one of those tools to be implemented, are we going to be slapped down? We need to understand, where do we go from here? What kind of a relationship, what kind of a negotiation are we going to have with the province from now on?
All right, we'll leave that question hanging in the air. Toronto City Councillor Anna Bailão, thank you so much, Councillor Bailão, for joining me.
Thank you.